Hello and welcome to Channel's Book Club. My name is Folake Kasumo, and it's great to be on the show again. We've got an interesting episode for you this week. Now, this wonderful woman, I like to call her, incredible woman, Folake Sanu, spent about 40 years in the banking and finance industries, and she broke quite some records in those industries. Now, she packed a lot of the lessons she learned during her 40 years of working in those industries in this book titled Life Lessons from a Nigerian Wonder Woman. Now, this book is packed with lessons, tips, ideas, philosophies, all sorts of things that can help any young person out there. It is a book that is meant for everybody to read, but it is specifically an exciting book for young people, particularly young female professionals. Now, we caught up with her in a very informal setting to look into this book and discuss it and explore the various aspects of the book. But we didn't do it alone. There was another young lady who joined us. Let's get to meet with Folake Sanu and our guest discussant, and then enjoy the conversation the three of us had together.
Folake Sanu is a banking and finance professional with about 40 years of work experience. Sanu started her career in audit and has worked in several executive and senior management roles for several commercial banks in Nigeria. Sanu is a fellow of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria, ICANN, an honorary senior member of the Chartered Institute of Bankers of Nigeria, CIBN, an alumnus of the London Business School, LBS, and Harvard Business School, HBS, where she attended and obtained various executive advanced management program certificates. She recently retired from Wema Bank PLC as a director. After her retirement, Sanu authored her first book titled Life Lessons from a Nigerian Wonder Woman.
Priscilla, Mrs. Sanu, nice to be here with you.
Nice to meet you, Kunle. How are you doing?
Very fine, thank you. Very fine, thank you. This is a classical book club setting.
Yeah.
So we're not doing this in the studio. It's nice to be here with you.
Nice to be here.
Okay, Life Lessons from a Nigerian Wonder Woman. This is what we're looking at, your book. Congratulations, by the way. It's not easy to write a book at all, is it?
No, it's one of the things I never dreamt I would be doing.
How long did it take you to write this?
I think it was about a year.
A year. What was it like writing this?
So I had to write over a period of time, and I think I had to more or less work towards at night sometimes. And I also worked with someone else. So it wasn't that I just wrote the book alone. I worked with some consultants as well because of time.
Time, okay, that's good. That's good. Interesting, nice book. In your intro, your introduction, you said here that this book, Life Lessons from a Nigerian Wonder Woman, is easily for everyone who desires to be victorious through life's challenges. Then you now wrote here, this book is for the young lady starting out in a male-dominated career. It is for the young woman who is frightened and in danger of throwing it all away. So I got the perception that even though you wrote this for everybody, you have this soft spot rather for young ladies, and a lot of what you wrote in here, I noticed were targeted at young ladies.
Well, for starters, yes, that is true. I'm a lady. I went through a lot as a young professional getting to this level, so I have a passion for ladies. But the book is also good for men, makes them understand us better. So it would be a nice book for them to read as well, and let them know the pains we go through as career women. Okay,
Priscilla, what are your thoughts about this book? You are in your late 20s, mid 20s, I'm not sure.
Late.
Late 20s, and you are a career young lady.
Yeah.
So what's your perception of this book? When you were reading it, what did this book do for you?
Thank you for that question. So first and foremost, to add to what she said, I think that both male and female young professionals have a lot to gain from this book, because there are so many gems that can be gotten from this book. So back to the question. What was my impression about the book? First and foremost, it's very easy to read. It's relatable. There were things that she experienced that I'm now experiencing, or that I recently experienced. So it was like she was speaking directly to me, and that was very interesting for me. So even if you don't like to read, if you take this book, there are stories, some incidences that happened. It's just very easy to read, very relatable, like a big sister or a mentor is speaking directly to you.
Which is what you had in mind, really. You wanted to put some mentoring lessons in the book.
Yes, I think I'm passionate about mentoring. I have a lot of mentees, and I also have a lot of people that looked up to me, and I'm very happy that I have many people out there that are successful.
I like chapter 1. Now, in this chapter, what you did was to share your own experience, how you ended up in accountancy. And you mentioned that angelic counselor called
Mr. Kuti.
Mr. Kuti, who had observed and advised you, based on his observations, that you should go into accountancy. So many young people end up in careers they were not meant to be in, right?
Yes, that's true.
It's a major problem. It's a major problem. Yeah, so when I was reading chapter 1, I said, wow. I said, you could actually take chapter 1 and turn it into a book in itself.
Yes, I think it's back to the old days when education was education, what it was supposed to be. I went to comprehensive high school, and there you had categorized into classes. You advised from after Form 2, your career path. And that was what Mr. Kuti did for me, accounting. It would not have been my chosen career. I would have loved to be a science student, do something medicine,
Because the smart kids are in science. They used to tell us.
We had all those big books where you carry physics, chemistry, biology. I mean, that was a status symbol. But unfortunately, fortunately for me, at the end of the day, I ended up in a commercial class.
Based on Mr. Kuti's advice.
Yes, and mentored to lead accounting.
And he also said that, to be a very good accountant, you didn't need to go to university. That it was best to go to a polytechnic. And in choosing where to go to, you went straight for a polytechnic choice. You didn't bother with...
I didn't. I think the man bought me over. He convinced myself, he convinced my parents. It was a career path. He said, you know what, I know you don't like shorthand and typing, but the career course I'm choosing for you is accounting. And he gave me reasons why I should study accounting. And I think at the end of the day, it was the best decision he's made. So I just went straight to the Polytechnic. And from the Polytechnic, he advised, don't bother your head, just go to an accounting firm, which I did. Write your professional exams, which I did. At the end of the day, an accountant.
You built, you've built over 40 years experience in accountancy. Priscilla, did you ever have that problem, picking your career?
Okay, so I studied a different course from what I'm now practicing in my career. I studied finance because I love mathematics. And, my mom wanted to be an accountant, so there was just that affinity. But after I started, I knew that I think I talk too much for this accounting. This accounting thing that I'm doing, and then I found myself working in a radio station. And from there, I've built a communications career.
Wait, so you started out trying to be an accountant?
Yes.
And then you ended up in communications?
Yes.
So when you were reading chapter 1 of this book, it must have resonated with you a lot.
Did.
In what way?
Okay.
Did you wish you had a Mr. Kuti?
Yes, exactly, in that way. I wish I had a Mr. Kuti who was there to say, I know you want to study accounting because you like maths, but I think that your temperament, your disposition is more in line with communications. I would have started earlier than I started.
I had a Mr. Kuti. I had a Mr. Bello who said, don't go and study science. I didn't listen to him. I ended up in science before I found my way back to my... because... and this is a common thing for a lot of young people in Nigeria. I think that is one of the reasons why we are not as productive as we ought to be in our country.
I think so. Apart from the fact that there's a Mr. Kuti, even parents need to understand the strengths and the weaknesses of their children. So, but the formal education will actually assist us better because that is an informed decision with no bias. And that's what I had. So I'm grateful to Mr. Kuti for that.
In pursuit of purpose, carve your niche, speak up, shock therapy, winning your boss over, managing subordinates, all-time assets, reading and career growth, the balancing act, choosing a life partner, parenting with wisdom, dear young adults. You practically went through every
stage,
every aspect, every major aspect of life for anybody, and particularly for a woman.
I think I was driven to do that in the sense that people were asking, how did you make it? Every time I go out, they ask, how did you make it? But Folake, how did you get to that level? We know it's hard work, but what are the other things? So it's not just hard work. You have to make sacrifices. You have to make some decisions. And sometimes people do not understand that we go through a lot as professionals. If you're going to maintain a home, if you're going to manage your children, also manage career, also manage your in-laws, do you know what a woman handles? You handle everything. You are responsible to your parents, you're responsible for your spouse, your children, the community at large. Everybody relates with you. So I felt that there is need for us to address various steps of our life. And that's why it's life lessons.
So here I am listening to a woman who spent 40 years leaving the house early in the morning, coming back very late. You did that for about 40 years?
Yes.
Okay, and then you've written this chapter in your book titled The Balancing Act. What was it like for you finding balance, with that kind of demanding professional life and still being a woman? What was it like for you?
So at the initial stage, when you get married, so we make promises to each other, we'll be with each other, we don't need any other person in the house. So you do all the house chores. At some point, I think it was quite tiring. So you need to evaluate your life. And there I realized that you can't do everything. So for me to succeed and for anybody to succeed, you need your own workforce. Believe you me, the very important people in my life, the driver, the cook, the maid, the nanny, they are so important because without them, I won't be able to do anything in the office. So it's either I'm a full-time housewife, if I'm going to be a career woman, then you have another workforce. And then it's the workforce that will take care of all those activities. But you also come back to become a full woman when you come into the home. Quality time with the children, good food in the house is well maintained. So anybody that comes in can actually compliment you and say, you're a good wife. But you still have your activities, so you have time for romance and all those things. So it's very important.
Priscilla, is there any question that, when you were reading this book, is there any question that came to mind? A question you wanted to probably ask the author, or a question you asked yourself while you read this?
Okay, thank you for that. I had two questions, one for myself and one for the author. The one for myself was, yes, I perceived myself in a certain way. After reading the book, I could see a bit of myself in every chapter. And I said, oh yes, I'm starting to become more confident, I have integrity. But then the question arose in my heart, sort of like a self-reflective moment to say, what do other people around me, my colleagues, my friends, do they have the same perception of me? And there was an aspect of this that spoke to feedback, getting feedback from your friends and your colleagues as well, so that you become a wholesome person. So that was just a self-reflective moment for me. But for her, I'd like to ask, knowing everything that you know now, is there anything you would have done differently?
That's a good question. Knowing everything, benefit of hindsight, what would you have done differently?
Well, with benefit of hindsight, I mean, writing this book, there was one aspect, and if you look at the comments from my colleagues, it was more or less saying you need to interact more with people, so you need to upscale your profile. I think it's more with maybe your friends. Networking is very good. Networking has its benefits. So at the initial part of my career, I think there was so much attention on the work. The work was so demanding. Like I said, trying to balance home and office, it's quite energy sapping. So most weekends, you don't even have time to go out. It's like, can I just have a little bit of me time and rest? So, but towards the end of my career, of course, you have to go out, you have to go to functions. So if there's anything I would have done better, is to network better, have maybe more friends. I still have my friends. We're all similar in character. Yes, we're all similar in character. We have our me times to ourselves, but I think more networking, be more outgoing, have more friends, so that as I grow older, you have a good network of people to play around with. Don't forget, this career is going to end. So you really need your friends and your family. But I'm happy. I have my family, I have my friends, and have a lot of more new friends that I've made. So that's the only area I think I would have, one of the main areas I think I would have tried to improve on.
If you were old and you were on your dying bed, it's all over for you, and you have your bed surrounded by all these young women around you who are important to you, which 2 chapters would you ask them to particularly pay attention to in this book?
So as a woman at that time, even now, I can safely say, look at the balancing act.
Balancing Act, chapter 10.
Page 79. Because it's important that we understand that we are women, and as women, a lot of expectations. So we need to balance things out. So there's always this question around, can you have everything? Well, why you might not have everything? Can you just have a lot? I mean, can you be thankful and grateful and enjoy this career that is time-consuming, energy-sapping? So I put in there things around being available for your family, also trying to get help. You can't do everything. You know, in Nigeria, there's this general saying that you must cook for your husband, you must do everything. I think you have to decide what is most important for the family. So you decide, and then you outsource what you can outsource, and then you do the ones that you have to do yourself.
What's the other one?
Well, the other one would be all-time asset.
All-time
Asset.
assets. That's chapter...
I think that's chapter 8, page 65.
Yeah.
All-time assets. Why that chapter?
That chapter is the one that talks about the individual. So it's not about your competence. It's about how does the organization see you. So for me, I've discovered that over time, people say they are working so hard. I mean, people work hard from 8 o'clock till sometimes 12 o'clock, midnight. But are you adding value? So that is the all-time asset, that are you adding value? For every individual, you must look at yourself and say, have I added, is this function adding value? If it's not adding value, believe you me, your hard work from 8 o'clock in the morning till 12 midnight will count for nothing. So how do you add value? And that is what the all-time asset is all about. If you have value to offer, definitely the sky is the limit.
Wow. Well, lest we reveal everything written in this book, lest we tell our viewers everything you've written in here. I think we've got to stop here. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure being with you, Priscilla and Mrs. Sanu.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Great.
Thank you, Kunle. It's been a wonderful experience talking to you. It's also been a wonderful experience writing this book.
And we're looking forward to your next one. I think you should write more.
I think I would write, there will be a follow-up and also a series of sessions with women and maybe young men who are interested.
Brilliant. Brilliant.
The women.
And you should take, There are some chapters here that can be standalone books. Don't you agree?
I do.
There
I do.
are some standout chapters here. We didn't talk a lot about choosing a life partner, but I think that's an important one. Parenting with wisdom. And so many others. Anyway, thank you very much. Thank you for hosting us.
Thank you very much. Thanks for being with me.
Great. Thank you, Priscilla.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. Before we round up on the show today, let's talk about Bologna Children's Book Fair. Since 1963, this book fair has been reputed to be perhaps the most famous book fair for children in the world. Very exciting book fair. And this year's book fair was no less exciting. But the special thing was Sharjah. For the past few years, we've had a wonderful relationship with Sharjah. As you know, we've been attending the Sharjah International Book Fair and covering it for quite a number of years. The Sharjah International Book Fair is reputed to be the third biggest book fair in the world. It attracts millions of people every year. And we are looking forward to attending the book fair again this year. But Sharjah was made the special guest of honor at the Bologna Children's Book Fair. And what an honor it was for the city of Sharjah.
I'm so happy to see you all again and to be here physically for this new edition of the Bologna Children's Book Fair. I'm honored and proud that Sharjah is the guest of honor at this year's book fair. On behalf of everyone in Sharjah, I want to say a huge thank you for your continued partnership and collaboration.
This is where we have to end the show today. As always, we'll be delighted to get your feedback through any of our social media platforms displayed on your screen. My name is Olakunle Kasumo. Remember, one great book can change your life. Bye-bye.